Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. Today we are going to be learning how to draft out a Princess Dart Bustier. This contains both pattern drafting and sewing tutorial, and this is beginner friendly. If this is something that you want to learn how to make, please keep on watching. So these are the measurements that you'll be needing for this tutorial, and we are going to start with our front pattern. And we're going to be taking from our shoulder to our bust point to our under bust point to the waist and to the length of this top. Now I'm taking from my shoulder to my bust point, which is at 11 inches, to my under bust point 15 inches, to the waist 18 inches, and the length of this top is going to be at 22 inches. Now I'm just going to go ahead and label this so we know which is which. When you are done with this, next thing that you're going to do is to take your neck round measurement. Now I am taking the roundness of my neck at 3 inches, and I'm going to be also taking the depth of my neck to be 3 inches. This is like basically a standard neck measurement that you can use, and you can use any type of neck that you want. You can use a V-neck shape also. The next thing now is to take the shoulder measurement. So I am taking my shoulder divided by 2, which is 7. I just marked it there. So right there where you marked your shoulder, you're going to come down by 1 inch to take your shoulder slope. So you're going to come down by 1 inch, and from there you're going to draw a line back to your neck round. This is going to form your shoulder slope. Now the next thing to do is from your bust line, you're going to place your tape rule and come up by 2 inch. Now this is going to be your chest line, okay? So 2 inch above your bust line is your chest line. This is another method you can use to get your chest line and also your armhole, okay? Now the next thing you're going to do is on this chest line, you are going to measure out your shoulder. Your shoulder, whatever you marked as your shoulder up there, you're going to measure it out on that chest line, and then at that point you're going to connect from this shoulder slope down to that point. Now this is going to be your armhole line, okay? The next thing now is to get our armhole curve, and you're going to find the middle of this your armhole line. Then right there at the middle, go in by ½ an inch. Place your tape rule right there and just go in by ½ an inch. Now when you've gotten this, you come back to your chest line, and right there you're going to mark your bust round divided by 4. So my bust round is 36 divided by 4, 9. I'm going to mark 9 right here on my chest line. And when I am done, I am going to connect a curve from my shoulder to the middle of my armhole down to that chest point. Now this is going to form our armhole curve. Now, when we are done with this, the next thing we are going to do is to take out our nipple to nipple measurement, okay? Now, my nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches. I'm going to divide this by 2, which is 4. Now, I'm going to mark 4 right there at my bust line, but from my under bust line down to the length of my top, I am going to remove 0.5 inches. So now I have marked 4 inches up here at my bust. My under bust, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches, okay? So you're going to minus whatever is your nipple to nipple, you're going to minus 0.5 inches. This is going to help give you that Princess Dart curve. You can see I am trying to make the demonstration with my hand. It's going to help create that nice Princess Dart curve. So you're going to remove 0.5 inches from your normal nipple to nipple measurement and mark that from your under bust down to the length. Then go ahead and connect these together. Guys, I hope you understand. So in case a nipple to nipple measurement is 9 inches, you're going to mark 4.5 inches at your bust line. Then from your under bust line to the waist to the length, you will mark 4 inches. Now when you are done with this, you're going to connect this line back to the middle of your armhole line. You can see how I am placing my rule, and I'm going to connect this right back to the middle of my armhole line. Then the next thing to do is from that under bust point, we are going to come out by 2 inches, okay? This is going to start from the under bust down. So you're going to come out by 2 inches. So right now, I'm going to place my tape rule at this under bust. I'm going to be taking these 2 inches from that nipple to nipple line. So you can see where I am placing my tape rule, and I'm marking 2 inches right there on my under bust. At my waist, I am also marking the same 2 inches. And also at the length of this top, I am also marking the same 2 inches. Then when you are done with this, you are going to connect a curve from your under bust to your bust, or from your bust to your under bust. You're going to be connecting a curve. Now this is that breast curve that when we are done and we stitch this together, it's going to give us that space for where our bust will sit. Okay, now just connect with a curve, and then the next thing you're going to do is from the middle of your armhole line, you're going to come down by 2 inches. So right there, the middle of my armhole line, you're going to come down by 2 inches. You can see where I'm placing my tape rule. So place your tape rule there, come down by 2 inches. And then from this new point that we just made, you're going to connect it back to the bust point. Okay. Now when you're done with this, you will see that if you go ahead and cut this like this on your fabric and join it together, it is not going to be the same, or it's not going to be equal. Okay, the center piece is going to be way longer than the side piece. So to avoid this, what you're going to do is on this side piece, you are going to place your tape rule and you are going to come up by 2 inches. You can see where I am placing my tape rule. Then from there, you're going to come up by 2 inches. Then go ahead and connect this together. Then from this new line that we just came up, we are going to draw another armhole curve. This way, when we join the center piece to the side pieces, they are going to be equal at the armhole length, or at the armhole curve. Now we are done with this. The next thing we are going to do is to take our round measurements. So remember to replace your darts. What I have there, the darts I have there on my chest line is around 0.5 inches, and my chest round is 9 inches. So basically what I have is 9.5. Okay, hope you understand. So I'm going to be adding 2 inches for my seam allowance. So what I'm going to be taking here is 11.5 inches. So make sure to replace the darts that you're going to be cutting away, and also add your seam allowance. Okay. Now my under bust, the dart right there is 2 inches, and my under bust round divided by 4 is 7 inches. So basically that's 9 inches. So 9 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance, what I have is 11 inches. And that is going to be the same also for my waist. Then for the length of my top, what I have for the length round is 8 inches, and plus 2 inches dart is 10 inches, plus 2 inches seam allowance, 12 inches. And that is it for my round measurements. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect these together. So for your round measurements, please make sure to replace these darts that we are going to be cutting away, just so you don't fall short of fabric when you are done with stitching this. Okay. Now this is basically it for how to draft out a princess dart. So I hope this tutorial is very, very helpful. And if you're a beginner, I hope this tutorial has been helpful to you. Yeah, so please do look carefully at the areas that I am cutting out right now, just so you don't make mistakes, okay? Now this is it, and you can see that when you place these two pieces together, you can see that they meet up very well at that armhole area. You can see that it is equal at that armhole area. So you should have something like this when you are done with drafting and cutting out your pattern. Now we are done with the front pattern. Let us get to the back pattern. Now for your back pattern, you are going to start with taking your zipper allowance, and I'm going to be taking out 2 inches for my zipper allowance. This top is going to be having a zip, so make sure to take out your zipper allowance if yours is going to be having a zip. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to take my vertical measurements, just like we did for the front pattern. So I'm going to place my tape rule, and I'm going to take from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 11 inches, my under bust point 15, my waist 18, and the length of my top at 22 inches. Now I'm going to come up from my bust point, which is 11 inches. I'm going to come up by 2 inches and mark right there at 9. This is going to be my chest line, okay? So I'm just going in now to label this. Now the next thing to do is to get your neck measurements. So make sure that whatever you are doing, whenever you are marking your measurement for this back pattern, it is going to be starting after that your zipper allowance. So you can see I've gone ahead to mark my neck round, and I used 3 inches for my neck round and 3 inches for my neck depth. Now for the shoulder, I am going ahead to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 7 inches. And right there, I am going to come down by 1 inch. Then from there, I am going to connect this back to my neck round. Now the next thing I will do is at my chest, I am going to also mark my shoulder measurement right there, just so this is on a straight line, just so my armhole line is on a straight line. Then at that your armhole line, you are going to get the middle of your armhole line. You can just simply place your tape rule on this, your armhole line, and fold it like so, you get the middle. So from there, I just draw a curve down to the chest line. There is no need going in by 0.5 inches for the back. Now the next thing to do is to get our nipple to nipple measurements, and for this we are not going to be removing 0.5 inches like we did for the front. Just mark your nipple to nipple measurement straight down from your bust down to the length of the top. Now from your chest line, come down by ½ an inch. Okay, you're going to place your tape rule under your chest line and come down by ½ an inch. Then go ahead and connect this back to that nipple to nipple line. The next thing to do is to take out our dart. This is just a normal dart taking on your waistline. You will come out by ½ an inch on both sides of your waist. You can see where I'm placing my tape rule, and I'm marking ½ an inch on both sides of my waist. Then go ahead and connect this back to the starting point. So just connect from one side upwards and then the other side of the dart upwards. And when you are done, also connect this back to the length of your top. Okay, this is very, very important. It also helps with the zip bulge. You know, when after fixing your zip at the back, that zip bulge that is there, it also helps with it. And we're going to also be contouring our zipper area. And for my zipper area, I normally come in by 1 inch. Then from there, I draw a slanted line back to the starting point of my zip. And from there also, I draw it down to the length. This helps again with zip bulge. So if you are done taking in your darts and you fix in your zipper like this, there is no way you're going to be having a zip bulge at the back of your clothes. Now the next thing to do is to take our round measurements. So I'm going in now to take my round measurements, and make sure to place your tape rule after your zipper allowance. Okay, I'm placing mine like this because I am recording, and I'm also counting this after my zipper allowance. So make sure that whatever you are taking, you're taking it after your zipper allowance. So for my underbust, I'm also going in to replace that dart that we are going to be cutting away. Now for my waist, the dart right there is like 1 inch, and my waist round is 7 inches. So that is making it 8 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance, which is 10 inches. So you can see this is exactly as 10 inches. Now for the length of my top round divided by 4 is 8 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance, which is 10 inches. And I'm going to place it right there and mark it. And the next thing is to just connect these round measurements and then go ahead to trim this out. So guys, we are done with the pattern drafting right now. So let's get into cutting this on our fabric. And I'm going to be using this beautiful Ankara piece right here. So when you are cutting this, for your middle piece, make sure to add an extra 0.5 inches seam allowance at the sides. Okay, this is going to be used to join it to the side pieces. For the side piece, you don't need to add any extra allowance. We have already added like 2 inches seam allowance for the side pieces. Now for the center piece, that's your under bust point area. Go ahead and nudge it. Okay, go ahead and nudge your under bust. Now this is going to help when you are fusing in your breast pads. You're going to stop at this under bust. Okay, this is very, very important. So go ahead and nudge this under bust. So you can see I've gone ahead to cut out my breast pads, and they all stopped at my under bust, and they started from around the chest line area. They don't need to go further than your chest line, and they don't need to go below your under bust. Okay, now I'm gonna head to fuse this with my iron, and I also went ahead to add this interfacing. This is a cloth stay I added to this just to give it more stability, and you can see what it is looking like. Now I'm going to start joining these pieces together, the center piece to the side pieces. And the way I normally join this is to start from the down part and work my way upwards. Okay, now this works best for me. I like to start from the down, then work my way upwards back to that armhole area. Now this always comes out very, very nice for me. I've also gone ahead to cut out the lining pieces, and I'm also going to go ahead and join the center piece to the side pieces. Now for the back pieces, I've gone ahead to cut this out with its lining, and I'm also going to go over and also turn this out with the lining pieces. Please make sure to iron when you are done with turning this. So I've gone ahead to join the center piece to the side pieces, and you can see what it is looking like. You can see that bust area. This is really, really nice, and when I finished making this and I wore it, I didn't even need to put on a bra. Like, it was so smart on my body. So you want to have something like this when you are done with stitching this together. You can see how beautiful this looks. Now the next thing we are going to do is to turn this with its lining. I've gone ahead to join the lining pieces and also iron it. So make sure to please iron your lining pieces when you are done with joining it. Then go ahead to place this on the fabric, right sides facing each other. You can see how I am placing this. I'm going to go over and turn this by the neck, by the side, and also at that length area. I've gone ahead to turn this out, and you can see what it is looking like. This looks so nice, and you can see that area there for our bust to sit in when we put this on. Now for the back pieces, I've also gone ahead to turn this out with the lining, and then I'm going to be placing the back pieces on the front piece, and I'm going to be joining this at that shoulder area. Now the way I normally join my shoulder is place this lining to lining, fabric to fabric, and stitch it together. That way the allowance doesn't show on the outside, okay, and it comes out very neat every time. So you can see how I'm placing this lining to lining, fabric to fabric, then go ahead and place it together and stitch it together. This way everything comes out very nice when you are done with stitching it. So guys, I am done with stitching this, and you can see what it's looking like. I'm done with holding it together by the shoulder, and you can see what it is looking like. I've also gone ahead to stitch in my darts. I forgot to show this on camera, but just place your pattern paper on your back pieces and just nudge that dart area, okay, and go ahead and stitch it in. Then for the zipper area, I just went ahead to pin it together. I'm yet to fix in my zip, so I just used a pin to hold this. I want to hold this together. I want to join it to the front piece first before I go in to put in the zipper. So I'm going to arrange this properly. You can see I am bringing out that padded area so that I can be able to pin this together very well, the front piece to the back piece, then go ahead to join it by the sides. So guys, I am done with stitching this together by the sides, and I also went in to fix in my zipper, and you can see what it is looking like. Please do make sure to iron open your seams when you are done to have a very neat finishing, so you can see what the front is looking like. I really love the outcome of this, and I hope this tutorial has been really helpful if you've been trying to learn how to make a princess dart. I hope you've learned it finally. So you can see, so at this point I didn't want to put in a sleeve, so I had to go ahead to turn the armhole area with a bias. So please, if you know right from start that you won't be fixing in a sleeve, or you want to have a sleeveless top, please do go ahead and turn your armhole with the lining, okay? When you are turning everything out, make sure to turn your armhole area also with the lining. So this came late for me, and I just had to go in with my bias, which is also still nice, but some of us don't like seeing threads on our clothes, okay? So if you're someone like that, just make sure to turn it out, turn that area also with your lining when you are turning everything out. So guys, that's basically it for this tutorial, and I hope this tutorial has been really helpful. And if you're yet to subscribe, please do click the subscribe button down below and subscribe, and like this video if this video was helpful to you. This helps my channel grow. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.